so long I thought I needed to get rid of my anxiety, but what if it's actually not the enemy? What if it's just my body trying to help me in a very, very dramatic way? Sounds about right. Today I want to explore how we can change this anxiety from being a challenge or something negative to a unique strength. Jesse Eisenberg actually inspired me to talk about this. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but that famous actor who I fucking love. In some YouTube interview, he actually spoke about how he has learnt to kind of respect and understand his anxiety when it comes and goes. And watching that video of Jesse talk about the way that he is trying to reframe his anxiety, it really stuck with me because I personally have always perceived my anxiety as this dreadful hindrance, curse, ultimately my punishment. In some ways, I still think of it as those things, which is just human nature. But just listening to the way that he has been trying to reframe his anxiety kind of inspired me to look at my anxiety from a different perspective, from a healthier perspective rather than a negative one. My early experiences with anxiety I think I just kind of had your kind of normal generalized anxiety as a child, you know. I always felt anxious as a little kid, even when others, you know, in my class or in my environment didn't seem to really care about the little things that I did. I would care about things deeply. Like, I would get so anxious and nervous about smallest and simplest things, like going to a sleepover, doing a roll call in the morning, having to do a speech in front of the class. Like, those things, I felt them in my core. I felt them in my freaking soul, man. It was terrifying. Now I see that that little anxious kid was just really sensitive to the world, and I kind of still am today, obviously. They say, you know, children are sponges, but you really are, because for me, already being an introvert as a child, I'm always observing everyone else. I could see when people were upset and I would take on that emotion. I could see how people would interact, and being an introverted and anxious child, you're already so overly self-aware and absorbing everything around you. No wonder why I am the way I am today. I've also learned that anxiety really comes down to just being aware. You notice everything, you care deeply, and unfortunately and fortunately, you just want to do things right, and that itself can actually be useful. Since I'm not a little child anymore, as you can freaking tell, nowadays my anxiety shows up differently, but I still have a shit ton of anxiety, and it kind of escalated from what it was when I was a child. When I was 15, I had an experience. I won't go into detail because you guys probably already know if you know. I also don't want this anxiety video to just be specifically about my specific type of anxiety, because I also want it to just be about general anxiety. No matter what type of anxiety you're dealing with, you can relate to this. But there's one day when I was 15, something happened and I developed erythrophobia. Now, basically, it's really complicated and hard and frustrating to explain, but it's basically the fear of blushing, of going red, wearing red, anything in that sort of realm. And it did change me for eternity. I can say that much. I've had this specific type of anxiety for about 8.5 years now, and I've hated it and myself for a very, very long time. It has changed pretty much all of me as a person. It made me 1000% more introverted than I already was before this anxiety. It made me unable to leave the house. It made me unable to function in social situations or even alone, just looking at myself in the fucking mirror. Having panic attacks in high school and even outside at my retail job. It was terrible. After feeling so drained from this anxiety for years, I really came to the belief and the acceptance that developing this anxiety has been my curse or my karma for bad things that I'd done. For some reason, I always told myself I deserved to feel like this. Within the last year and really watching that video from Jesse, even though his anxiety is completely different to mine, I could still take away from that video that I can try to look for a small positive on a good day with my anxiety, or I can just try to stay neutral about it instead of hating myself and hating my anxiety. Like, okay, sometimes my body does this. That is fine. Not really, but it is, and I'm trying to remind myself of that every day. I'm learning to not spiral about it, to stop overthinking it, to not assign any meaning to it, and just letting it simply exist. Because it has been for 8.5 years, but really taking away the pressure and internal battle that I have in my head of hatred. I've learned that for me, that comes with acceptance, and that really has been the hardest fucking part. Also, I want to mention and add this in that I have spent years and so much money on counseling, psychologists, hypnotists, and unfortunately, none of those things worked for me. Okay, I know people want to give you recommendations and things. I just haven't found that thing for me that has worked. However, one thing that I did take away from the hypnotist, which specifically the hypnosis didn't actually help me, whenever he would ask me what my goal is, I would say to no longer turn red and to feel free. And every time I said that, he never said that's achievable. He always said to me, well, you're going to turn red and you need to be okay with it and you need to let it happen. And I was always like, what the fuck? Like, you can hypnotize me to not fucking turn red. I can also at the same time acknowledge the fact that I am on a journey and I've gotten a lot better than what I used to be of being able to go, okay, like I'm letting it happen. I'm not going to bash myself for when I turn red or when I have a panic attack. Not that I've had a panic attack for a while. And ironically, it never really came into my life that maybe I need to accept what I had going on with me. And when that acceptance came into my life, it really altered a part of my brain. So going through that process in high school when you're 15 and now I'm 23, that is very jarring. So I just wanted to mention that because I feel like when you have anxiety as a child and then it kind of changes forms as you get older, it is very, very jarring. It's very confusing. I lost my identity for a very, very long time. In high school already, you're struggling. You've got raging fucking hormones. Like, bitch, I was hormonal as fuck. Literally within the last few months, I feel like I am back to not even my old self, but just Island. I feel like me again, but with this anxiety, but just me. We got to use this anxiety as our ally. We've got to reframe the anxiety from being this inconvenience, this dreadful part of your life, which for many years it has been for me. But anxiety can also be a signal to you that something matters to you, something you care about. I don't want to say I necessarily stripped myself down because I haven't, but if you look through my YouTube, you can see my old videos of my makeup videos, and in a way, I've always loved makeup. Just doing some crazy eyeliner and shit was my jam. However, it turned into this unhealthy relationship with makeup where I started using it to mask myself. I would literally put on this like red face mask, and once I had that on, I could be confident and happy. And then when I came home at the end of the day and took off the mask, I just couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because my anxiety was just dying to come out, which is, I don't even know if that makes sense. I sound like a fucking psychopath, I'm sorry. Something that I loved and had a really good passion for turned into something that was out of desperation, and I was trying to hide from myself and run from myself. I didn't want to see my face turn red, so I'd cover it up. It's how I coped, and that's okay, but it's not right for me. I'm still trying not to care anymore. That's not to say that right now I'm feeling super confident. I am battling my red face right now. I feel a lot safer because I'm just by myself talking to you guys, but I still have thoughts that just come in my head because I don't have any face makeup on. Last time that I felt kind of a panic attack coming on, I just had to keep reminding myself, well, this is the millionth time that this has happened. I've survived the other times. I'm gonna get through this time. And just kind of, once again, having that acceptance and allowing it to happen takes that pressure off of you. On the other side of that coin, I tell myself, well, have I not had a panic attack just because I've bubble wrapped myself because I'm lucky to have a work from home job, because I'm not really exposing myself? But in other ways, I'm like, well, I have gotten better. I can wear red now. I actually love the color red. Surprisingly, well, 8.5 years, I couldn't even look at the color red. So I have that self-doubt and negative thought of, well, maybe I actually am still fucked up and I still have this rage anxiety, but I'm just hiding from the world and hiding from myself. But also at the same time, the Island from 7 months ago would never believe that I'm doing the things that I'm doing now, like wearing no makeup, talking about my anxiety, wearing red, even showing my anxiety happening on my TikTok. I show sometimes, you know, my face goes red in public. I am showing that. The Island from 7 months ago would be like, what the heck? Another thing that's kind of helped me is just recognizing when the anxiety shows up, what it's trying to tell me. I recognize that the anxiety shows up when I care about something. Recognizing the uneasy and kind of uglier feelings to your anxiety helps. Like, where are you feeling it? Is it a pit in your stomach? Is it a tightness in your chest? Is it, you know, goosebumps? Get familiar with your anxiety and your body and your emotions. For the most part, my anxiety generally makes me want to run the fuck away from social situations. Sometimes I can't even look at my own reflection. I can't go to a public gym still. I'm still battling that. Also, at the same time, I can look at it from the perspective of my anxiety keeps me overly aware, it keeps me empathetic, it keeps me grounded, and I just have to remind myself to not let it take over. At times it does, don't get me wrong, but that is a battle that I'm fighting every day. And I'm learning to be okay with, you know what, tomorrow could be a bad day, today could be a good day. I'm not going to put pressure on myself if tomorrow ended up being a really shitty day with my anxiety. I'm trying really hard to use my anxiety to my advantage. Being in social situations, I observe when another person is feeling anxious or when they're feeling a bit uncomfortable, because I have that empatheticness from my anxiety, from feeling uncomfortable generally in social situations. Even if you can't find advantages to your anxiety, like Jesse Eisenberg, for example, when he's about to go on set for his filming, he can use his anxiety as excitement. If you can't use it to your advantage, then find some small strengths within your anxiety, even if it is one small thing. You need to grab onto that and hold it tight. At the end of the day, I think that is what has gotten me through my anxiety, is holding on to the small positives. Why do I feel like I'm gonna start crying? Ew. Okay, it's not gross to cry, but like I just didn't want this video to be very emotional. What is going on? Honestly, I think my biggest advantage with my anxiety is just talking about it. Talking about it, because you watching this video, you might have the exact same type of anxiety. You might be like, holy shit, there is another person out in the world that understands even 1% of what I go through. Even if you just have general anxiety, you can relate to just the panic attacks or the self-hatred. Also, sometimes it's the fear of anxiety, not the actual anxiety itself, if that makes sense. From my knowledge and understanding from watching videos and going through therapy, not that I'm a fucking psychologist, okay, actually go get professional help. Don't fight against it, meet it with love, and if you can't meet it with love fully, like I can't, then meet it with acceptance. Don't completely ignore your thoughts, welcome them, but also don't hold on to them too tight. I keep also trying to remind myself that I'm just the observer, I'm not the thought. Let it happen. Laugh about it. Talk about it, because that personally is what is helping me, because it takes the pressure off me from hiding my face turning red, from running away. All in all, part of this neutral territory that I've kind of recently stumbled across that I'm still navigating, I've really come to the realization that I don't need to fix my anxiety. I don't need to do all these types of crazy things. I just need to meet it halfway. Be neutral about it. Some days it's loud, some days it's quiet, but I can live with that, and that's all just part of the human experience at the end of the day. It has taken me 8.5 years to get to this point of being neutral, to not hating myself every day, because I have for a very long time. That's not to say that I don't have anxiety anymore, because like I said, I'm battling it right now, but you can't see that. But it's just about being neutral. And I know it is not easy, but you have to remind yourself you are in control of your mind and your body. And although I know it doesn't feel like it at times, especially when your face is glowing fucking red, or you're dripping sweat and you're shaking uncontrollably and you're like, why can't I stop shaking? You can get to a place like that, whether that is with professional help or medication or whatever. You can get to a place where you can function and live a fulfilling, happy life. And honestly, some days I still want to shout from the top of my lungs, why did this happen to me? Why was I given this fucking curse? And some days I want to shout on the top of my lungs, where are you, anxiety? I was expecting you today. When are you gonna show up? Some days, like today, I can look at my anxiety with more of a healthy perspective, and then some days I can't even fathom what is going on inside my brain. And that is okay, because I'm self-aware. I'm aware that I'm trying to train my brain into a new path of not looking at it from this hatred, despicable perspective. Like me, if you've ever been someone who just wishes and prays that they could just be normal, I promise you, there is nothing wrong with you. And there is nothing wrong with being someone who feels deeply. Our anxiety is not our weakness. It is proof that we are alive and we are aware and we are here. Oh, wow. That was a heavy episode. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to actually get very heavy. Anyways, I hope someone took something away from this video. You can play this while you're folding and washing, and even if it just makes you feel less alone, then that's what makes me happy. We're all going through something. Sometimes you can't see anxiety, sometimes you can. You can see when my face is going red, so you can tell when I'm feeling it, and that is just the beauty of life. So I love you so much. Here is your hug. I hope you have the best freaking day. I will see you in the next one.